This is Southern Cross News with Rick Fontaine.
Good evening and welcome to Southern Cross News. Well, questions remain tonight on just how a runaway train ended up being deliberately derailed in Devonport on Friday. Recovery work continued today with the rail line expected to reopen later this evening.
Cranes hovered over wreckage as the clean-up mission continued. The buckled wagon's so heavy with cement, crews had to vacuum it out.
To date, we've had 3 wagons safely craned and transported back to Launceston, and we're in the process of moving another 3 wagons today, with the main line looking to be reopened by later tonight.
The locomotive was being operated on remotely in Railton on Friday morning when it escaped, reaching Devonport in just a matter of minutes. TASRAIL scrambled to derail it along the waterfront. Unfortunately, 2 pedestrians received minor injuries. TASRAIL would not confirm if the train was driverless, only adding it was not standard practice.
We don't run a driverless train network here. Our trains are always manned by a driver.
The total damage bill remains unknown. TASRAIL offered no answers today on just how the train managed to slip out of the Railton loading yard, instead saying it was now in the hands of the Australian Transport Safety Bureau.
I don't want to speculate to what the causes may be, and their findings will be out in due course.
Investigators have also begun interviewing employees over the incident, while TASRAIL has also launched its own internal investigation. Sean McComish, Southern Cross News.
Family violence perpetrators could soon be facing tougher penalties in court, with new laws to be introduced to Parliament this week. But as the government continues its crackdown on crime, the Labor Party will resume its interrogation of the state's mental health woes.
Protecting victims of family violence, the government to introduce new laws making it easier to crack down on serial perpetrators.
It's a new crime that will be inserted into the criminal code, which means up to 21 years jail, maximum sentence. This also would take into account family violence incidents that occur interstate.
The proposed legislation means a perpetrator could be charged for their pattern of violent behaviour, even if a victim cannot remember specific times or dates.
Those individual offences will of course remain a part of the law. It will be for the courts to be able to agree, and for a jury to agree, that there has factually been those incidents occurring.
The government will also continue trying to eliminate organised crime, debating unexplained wealth laws targeted at associations and clubs. But Labor will again attempt to steer the conversation towards mental health, calling for increased services in the northwest.
We've had child and adolescent mental health workers speaking out about the absolute lack of services and the risk that is putting people in.
Last week, our health system again came under fire after it was revealed patients were forced to sleep on the floor of the emergency room as they awaited treatment. But the Health Minister said the government was investing in the sector.
The government has been investing in mental health, and where we see that even still there's demand pressures, I think that we've got to come back and reflect on what are the causes of those and how we can support families from a preventive point of view.
Parliament resumes on Tuesday. Michelle WISBEY, Southern Cross News.
More than 400 candidates will compete for a spot on councils across the state as nominations for local government elections close at midday tomorrow. 28 of Tasmania's 29 councils will be up for election next month, including the roles of Mayor and Deputy Mayor. Only residents of the Glenorchy City Council area will not have to vote, as separate elections were held earlier this year. Voters can expect to get ballot papers mailed to their house in the coming weeks. Voting closes on October 30. Well, firefighters past and present gathered at the Cambridge Fire Station today to celebrate 50 years since the brigade was formed. The station was built in the wake of the infamous 1967 bushfires, and now it's welcoming the next generation of volunteers.
This is the 3rd generation to sit behind the wheel of this exact fire truck. 30 years ago, their father first signed up to be a volunteer firefighter at Cambridge. He's still proudly serving today.
My father was a member of the brigade when I was a little boy, and then when I was 17 I came along to an annual general meeting of the brigade, and the guy said come along and try it out, and I did, and I've been here ever since.
He was one of many long-serving volunteers out today to celebrate 50 years since the Cambridge Fire Station opened its doors. It was the devastation of the 1967 Black Tuesday bushfires that led to the station's opening.
The local community banded together and decided that they needed to have a local fire brigade, and so they did that and the brigade was formed.
Things have changed a lot over the years, both the fire trucks and the job itself.
We're involved in motor vehicle accident rescues, assisting career brigades, things I would have never dreamt about 30 years ago.
The next generation of firefighters also using the open day to hone their skills, saving Teddy from the flames.
It was really good, yeah. We fired the hose because the fire was all around the house.
The station now looking forward to 50 more years of service. Michelle Wisbey, Southern Cross News.
A family fun day at Government House has brought together children of all ages to raise funds for the Child Health Association of Tasmania. The fete was first held at the Hobart grounds in 1921, and today children enjoyed many of the same games as were played almost 100 years ago. A Punch and Judy show, a cake stall and a range of colourful activities kept hundreds of kids entertained throughout the afternoon.
We made a castle with the blocks and we raced and it was so much fun.
We're looking to raise some funds today which we will put back into the community, into child health programs. So we're really excited about what that can mean for the organisation and for Tassie families.
The funding will go back into programs focused on healthy eating habits and emotional well-being.
North Launceston midfielder Josh Ponting has capped off a dream year in the TSL, claiming the ALASTAIR LYNCH medal in Hobart overnight, while AFLW-bound star Maddison Smith was rewarded for a stellar season in the women's competition. After tasting premiership success with North Launceston, Ponting didn't think his 2018 could get much better. Following a dominant season in the Bombers midfield, the nephew of Tasmanian cricketing great Ricky Ponting polled 13 votes in the final 12 rounds, finishing with 23 all up, 9 votes clear of teammate Brad Cox-Goodyear.
Individual success is not as much as team success means to me. Premierships are obviously the main goal, but to win this is an unreal feeling.
With Glenorchy guns Sarah Skinner ineligible to take out the women's best and fairest due to suspension, Maddison Smith claimed the honours, having booted 23 goals for Clarence despite an injury-plagued year. The medal proving a slight consolation after her side fell just 2 points short against Glenorchy in last weekend's TSLW Grand Final.
That knee injury hit me pretty much after round one, and then after that I pretty much just had to build my tank up halfway through a year and finally feel like I could string a few good games together.
And following a tumultuous year for Tasmanian football, guest of honour and Brisbane Lions coach Chris Fagan was all but happy to make the trip down to his home state to throw his support behind its football future.
Glad that the Tassie Mariners are going to be back next year playing full-time in the TAC Cup. Hopefully that's a prelude to a VFL team sometime in the future, and you know, if we do that well, then the infrastructure's there for hopefully an AFL team somewhere down the track.
Just under 500 people have laced up for the second Launceston Marathon today. The event was a chance for some fresh faces to take on a big challenge, while one running champion used it to make a long-awaited return.
You couldn't ask for a better day to go running. After a wet start to the first Launceston Marathon last year, 2018 saw just under 500 challengers lining up across 5 events, well above last year's entries. Lagana's Stephen Matthews was first over the line for the 42-kilometre circuit, putting the win down to saving the best till last.
I raced the Ross a couple of weekends ago and I went out too hard, so I thought I'd leave a bit in the tank and it ended up being just perfect.
Launceston's Rose DINGEMANSE remained confident as she approached the finish line.
I was hoping, but it was a bit of a struggle. The next lady, she was really close on me for ages, so she made me push hard.
She's using the win as a warm-up for the New York Marathon. Meanwhile, elite runner Josh Harris made his return after more than a year off the track following a foot injury in Switzerland, just dipping his toe today in the 5-kilometre run.
Some of the specialists said that I may not run again, and it's been really slow progress since the injury. So all these months later, I'm up to a 5K run. So slow progress, but slowly getting there.
Now with 2 years under their belt, organisers are hopeful the day will be a permanent part of the state's running calendar.
Now this one is a bit different to most of the others. Most of the other major races are on road. This one is situated within a beautiful forest and a pathed area around the city, but all off-road.
Sean McComish, Southern Cross News.
Oh, Rick, I would have run the marathon today if I wasn't working, mate, but I'll get there next year for sure.
I bet you would. Yeah, good luck. Start training now. Thanks, Tom.
Good evening. 11 degrees today in Hobart. Launceston and Burnie had a top of 14 and 16 degrees was the state's top today for Devonport. 15 at Low Head and St Helens, 14 for Scottsdale and Wynyard, 13 degrees at Cressy, Smithton, Fingal, Bushy Park and also on the Bass Strait Islands with 12 degrees for Campania. On the maps, cumulus cloud visible there associated with a cold air mass streaming over the state today. Patchy high cloud lies near the New South Wales coast, a low-level cloud over the northeast of Queensland and the remainder is cloud-free. Tomorrow the high is situated west of the state and extends a ridge north over the parts of the mainland. Troughs persist over WA and Queensland. Southeast to southwesterly winds 10 to 20 knots tomorrow, reaching 25 about the south and the east, easing to 5 to 15 knots about the north and the west during the day with seas between 1 and 2 metres. It's expected to be a frosty start for susceptible areas around the state. 12 degrees in Hobart and Dover, a few showers there, 10 for Ouse, 14 in Launceston, 13 for Devonport, 12 at Scottsdale, sunny for those areas, 13 for Burnie and Stanley, 11 for Strawn, with 13 degrees and a sunny day for St Helens and Swansea, and 12 at Ross. Showers about the south on Tuesday, clearing later and a pretty fine day elsewhere. Fine for Wednesday apart from a frosty start for most areas and late showers through the northwest with statewide showers expected on Thursday. Looking around Australia tomorrow, 22 degrees expected for Perth, 19 in Adelaide, 15 and cloudy for Melbourne and Canberra, 17 in Sydney, showers there with showers for Brisbane, 24 and a top of 34 for Darwin. And at the moment it's 6 degrees, a few clouds about in Hobart, 9 for Launceston and also 9 for Devonport. Good to see Launceston shining today for the marathon, mate.
Absolutely. I think I'll be like Tom and not joining him in that next year. Well, that is all your news for this Sunday, the 23rd of September. Thanks for your company. Have a great Sunday evening. Good night.